This product was provided by Nintendo.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. It is time once again for another Sunday Switch discussion. Now, unlike previous videos in this series where you guys submit topics and I talk about them at great length in most situations, I ramble for way too damn long. Not unlike this video here. We're going to be doing something different today. We're actually going to be talking about a game that I've been playing for the past couple of weeks, and I have some impressions to share with y'all. This game was provided to me to check out on the channel by Nintendo, so thank you so much Nintendo for the review copy. And I'm of course referring to Mario Tennis Aces for Nintendo Switch. Now when it comes to the Mario games, more specifically the spin-off titles, they are for the most part hit and miss. You have a lot of really good ones like the Mario Party series, and then you have a lot of duds in between. But one particular subset of games that I love more than anything, and it's so funny because I don't see these games get the love that they should, especially from Nintendo. I'm of course referring to the Mario sports titles. Whether you're talking about Mario Tennis on the N64, Mario Sluggers on the GameCube, and you know, this isn't even a Mario sports game, but the fact that they had Mario characters playable on the GameCube version was enough for me. NBA Street Volume 3, I swear to God, you want to talk about Uno and Mario Party ending friendships? No, you load up that damn game and it was over, man. I swear to God. But something that I've noticed about the Mario sports titles is that, you know, I haven't really been playing them. You know, the last game that I really got invested in was Mario Strikers Supercharged on the Nintendo Wii. And that was like, what, 10 plus years ago? So for me, the quality that existed in the few Mario sports titles that got released from that game to now, it just wasn't there. And it especially wasn't enough to draw me back in to playing on said Nintendo platforms. So here we have Mario Tennis Aces, which was supposed to be, I guess, the apology for the game that came out on the Wii U, a game that I didn't play because you guys know I did not want to rock with the Wii U like I do the Nintendo Switch. So this game was supposed to make up for a lot of things. And there was a lot of hype behind it because one thing I've noticed when it comes to Nintendo Switch and well, specifically two games in the series, they're kind of attracting a lot of the older players like me who really haven't been playing much on the Nintendo systems. Games like Zelda Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey, those games have really gotten a lot of people back into playing the series and back into buying Nintendo platforms. So Mario Tennis Aces, in my mind, I was thinking, oh my God, this is going to be the game. It's going to satisfy the core fans, and it's going to be the game that brings in all of the old veterans who really haven't been rocking with the Nintendo games. And did they succeed in that? No. No, they didn't. In fact, Mario Tennis Aces is kind of a pretty big disappointment. Now, don't get it twisted. The game itself, like the core gameplay, is absolutely incredible. And we'll touch on that later. But everything else surrounding the game is bare minimum at best. In fact, I go so far as to say it's half-baked. They're giving you just what you need to satisfy you if you bought the game on the Wii U. That's basically what it is. If you are a person who is going into this expecting that this is going to be the game that would turn around the sports franchises, no, it's anything but that. In fact, in a lot of respects, I think that this game is in line with some of the more recent Mario sports titles that have been disappointing. So I'm going to break it down. The story mode itself was one of the biggest advertised things about the game, you know, especially considering there hasn't been a a campaign mode in a Mario sports title in a very long time. So a lot of people were looking forward to this. Nintendo was hyping it up. And to be honest, the story mode really isn't anything to write home about. In fact, I go so far as to say that the story mode is pretty much pointless. It's nothing but a glorified tutorial campaign. That's all it is. It's basically there for you to get better at the game. And I know a lot of people can argue and say that, well, that's how most campaigns are for these games that have multiplayer. And you would be correct in that assessment if they weren't hyping this game up like no tomorrow, and we don't have previous campaign story modes to compare it to. So when you're going through the campaign, they kind of you know, they kind of try to finesse you because it has the cinematic cutscenes and you're thinking there's going to be this great in-depth story mode. But to be honest, all you're doing is just learning how to play the game, and that's it. They have a couple of boss fights sprinkled in here and there that try to, you know, mix things up. And while the boss fights are cool and everything, they're not enough for me to go back and play through the campaign multiple times. It's kind of like, the best analogy I can relate this to is the Naruto Storm series, right? The Storm series, specifically Naruto Storm 2, has really great boss fights, really awesome boss fights, but everything else surrounding the story, like the actual open world gameplay, is pretty much shit. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and mince words with y'all. So while it is fun to go through these really creative and unique boss battles, it's not enough to justify replaying the story. In fact, after going through the story, I have no interest in playing through the campaign again. There's nothing that really keeps me coming back for more. It's not as if the story mode was just so gripping and engaging. It's not like a Mario plus Rabbids, if that makes sense, where the story mode was at least interesting enough to bring you in, and then the more and more you play the game, you're just like, wow, a lot of tender love and care went into the presentation. That's not here in Mario Tennis Aces. Everything is bare bone, from the win animations to the dialogue that exists with the characters. It just feels as if they wanted to create something for you to pass the time. And to be honest, it was boring. It was really boring. So that's all I really have to say about the story mode. Well, I mean, there really isn't much else. Like, what do you want me to say? Is it a quasi-RPG? No, it's not. Like, you level up stats, but those stats really don't mean much because it's not an RPG. Now, moving into some of the more positive things about the game, let's talk about the fact that it has an online component. This is very good because for the longest time I have been pleading with Nintendo to put online multiplayer in their games, specifically their multiplayer titles, because if we had so much fun playing these games locally, could you imagine the fun playing it online? And given the fact that most of us are, you know, approaching 30, you know, I'm going to be 25 in a few weeks, we can't play these games with our friends like we used to. So online gaming is the best way for us to interact with one another. And Mario Tennis Aces succeeds in that it does have an online mode for you to play with your friends, but the way you can customize the modes is so bare bones. Like, they're giving you the bare minimum online experience and nothing more. You would think that, okay, there's not going to be that much customization when it comes to playing the game online. But what about when you're doing private matches with your friends? You can customize it and play it the way you want, right? No, what they give you right now is just basically that. Like, what you're seeing in the game, the way you can set the modes and do the different types of matches the way you want it, that's all you get. You don't get to customize it to a crazy degree. Like when you're playing Call of Duty and you can set all these stipulations like, oh, this is going to be the time, this is going to be the amount of points you have to win, and so on and so forth. In this game, you don't get anything like that, which makes no sense considering it's a private match. It's not online, it's not public. You know what I'm saying? So again, it's one step forward, two steps back for Nintendo when it comes to these things. It's like they're giving you a story mode. It's a glorified tutorial. It's like they're giving you an online. There's no real customization. Like, what is going on here, man? Now, I do understand that going forward in the future, since, you know, we have online, they can update it where they patch in all of these things, but that, you know, addresses a bigger problem, a bigger elephant in the room. Are we going to have to wait for these games to be complete before we buy them? I know we have this conversation every single year when it comes to these video games, but it seems to me like more and more, as we're getting games, they keep lacking features and they have to patch it in. So you give them your $65 and you get what is essentially alpha build of the game, and as time goes along, they're updating it. They're taking in your feedback. Like, why does this have to be a thing? Why should we have to wait for them to patch in such simple things? Especially considering Nintendo for the longest time has always been one of the companies that is like, no, we're going to release these complete experiences. Mario Tennis Aces really isn't a complete experience. It still needs a lot of work. Now, that being said, let's talk about some of the more positive things about the game. The gameplay of it. And this is why I still say that Mario Tennis Aces, even though it is a half-baked experience, it is a fun half-baked experience because the gameplay is top-notch. In my personal opinion, I think this is the best that the series has had. Now, there are a couple of things that I do not like. I do not like the racket-breaking mechanic at all. I'm not really a big fan of the trick shots until they balance out with certain characters. But the core gameplay itself, like the core tennis experience, is so fluid, it is so fun, and I am having a freaking blast. Like, this is a game that I would play with my friends alongside a Mario Party and alongside a Mario Kart. So in that situation, Nintendo has succeeded in crafting a great game. Now just give me more options to play that core experience with my friends and we will be happy. So that's all I wanted to say about Mario Tennis Aces, you guys. I know it kind of sounds like I was ranting about the game, but I really wanted to like this. I really did, because if Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey were any indication about, you know, the future of Nintendo and the way they were handling their franchises, they could appeal to the core, they could appeal to the veterans, while also being able to create a game for everybody. And this game is just, it's not that, man. It's got a lot of good ideas attached to it. It has a lot of good things going into it. But in its current situation, the game that is on the store shelves right now, I cannot recommend you guys go out and spend your $65 on it. Especially considering we have better games available on the Nintendo Switch. Some of which are brand new IPs, some of which are ports. I would go so far as to say I'm better off recommending something like a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, a full-price port from the Wii U, over Mario Tennis Aces. And I know I'm going to regret this and I'm going to eat my words, but I would much rather you guys go out there and buy something like a Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, because that is a proven game. That game has a great single-player campaign. And to be honest, you're going to be having a lot more fun with that than this, at least until they update it and they give us the game that we should have gotten on release. Anyways, from me to you for now, my name is NGS signing out, and like always, I will catch you guys later. Peace.